welcome to another podcast, Engage for Change. It's a platform designed to give people a voice, mainly young people, to talk about their experiences with like the services. And we just want to try to educate others, future practitioners, other young people, so that we can just make everybody's experiences a bit better. Today, we have someone really exciting. We've actually got a parent on today, which is a little bit different, but we'll see how that goes so we can hear it from a parent's point of view of experiences of having to tackle certain issues, what might be happening with their child at school. Yeah? So cool. So,
Hello.
how's it going? Welcome.
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm kind of used to this, isn't it? It's quite nice. Got a nice little spot here.
Yeah?
Thank you for inviting me on, man.
No, all good. So, like, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Kofi. When I was at school, they used to call me Essien. That's my surname. But yeah, my name is Kofi. Born and bred in London. Moved to Sussex about 14, 15 years ago. And then obviously I bumped into you.
Lovely.
Yeah, that was lovely. Changed my life. But yeah. This is a great thing you're doing here, man. So when I heard you were doing this, I thought, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what, man? It's one of them things. It's like, I'm not even one who's trying to be on social media or trying to be out there, but talking to a lot of different young people and realising that a lot of them, there's a lot going on and they want to talk about it. And a lot of them will talk to me and they might talk to others. But I'm thinking, how can that relevant content be shared so it can help others learn,
You have to get their voices out there. And if you're going to do it, besides social media, this is the perfect platform to do it.
Yeah, and that's just where it comes from. And it's like talking to people who I know or just others, and it's just giving a voice. So if there's anybody out there who comment below, anybody out there who wants to share and wants to inspire others, then I'm all for it.
I'm a 70s child. So in my day, I went to private school, and it wasn't because my parents were rich. That had nothing to do with it. That's where they wanted me to go. So I went. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, it was good. It was hard, but it was good. In those days, it was different. You couldn't tell a teacher to be quiet. If you told a teacher to be quiet, you're finished. And then, I lived in North London. I used to go out with all my friends on the bikes. And one day my parents said, what are you doing? So they sent me to boarding school. Not because I was a bad kid, because boarding school's not for bad kids. It's a selection of kids. Their parents just want a better life for them. They want them to focus and have goals when they leave. You can say, I can do this. And I'm glad I went. I went through a lot. I went through racism in my boarding school. Back in the day, was in a place called Farnham.
Farnham on the way to Portsmouth.
Yeah, Farnham was a heavy area. As we call it now, the National Front were part of that. Being 4 black kids, that's all there was in this boarding school, a boys' boarding school. You couldn't even go to town. If you went to town, you were brought back by the police, or you were chased down the road. You even got abused in school. So you had to learn very quickly how to deal with things like that and how to, just understand how to play the game. And I did that. But now looking back, coming forward to now, it's a totally different situation.
What, with school or with the National Front or what? How?
I think with life in general, man. I just think part of it, not getting political or anything, but the government have got a lot to answer for. They took a lot of things away from parents, all parents, black, white, Chinese, doesn't matter where you're from. They told them one day, if you touch your child, you're going to be in trouble. And then they went into schools and told the teachers, well, if your parent taps you on the finger, you tell us and we'll get them banged up. I get it. I understood why they did that.
I think because in some cases there was some abuse going on.
There was some abuse going on.
And how do you measure?
I think how you measure it, then you have to measure it in between, like, if that child's getting abused and you catch them, then you know they're getting abused.
From my experience, yeah, I got a clip around the ear. Yeah,
Yeah.
my mum, I got an on tops. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I got the slipper.
You never did it again, though, did you?
I mean, I used to laugh, I used to muck about, but I used to have my mum. Don't think I went down at the shops with my mates. My mum didn't come down with a slipper and chase me home.
My mum was the
So I
same.
mean, I've had that. Yeah.
When did it stop, though?
I mean, I learned.
We're two different ages.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
bit older than you.
yeah. So I mean, okay. So I learned. So, like, I always got taught kind of manners and to be respectful, and I feel like now a lot of kids are aware that their parents can't push the boundaries,
Of course they do.
but then at the same time, parents will like ground them and take their phones off them, but then don't understand how important like a phone is to a young person. So, for example, I used to go out with mates, sit round each other, and we all play together. Yeah. Now they're playing with headsets online. Their phones, like it could be the metaverse, all of their friends. So sometimes it's just this, you lock them away from all of their friends and stuff. They're gonna kick off and go absolutely ballistic, and you can't hit them.
I've had to learn very, very quickly how to do. I've got 3 kids. I've got a son. He's 15, going on 16 soon, and it's not been easy. And I've got a daughter. She's 14, and they are very outspoken young people. They have their own mind. They'll do what they want to do. But if I don't like what they're doing, I have a conversation with them.
But there you go.
I had the conversation, but
you have a conversation.
But my conversation isn't like, oh, darling. I have to give them the conversation. I have to say, listen, you like all this stuff? He goes, yeah. Well, it belongs to me because you don't pay nothing. It's mine. So if you want your phone, go buy your own phone. Give me my phone back. If you don't like living here, go find somewhere else to live. I'm not bothered. Me and your mum could go on holiday somewhere like to Dubai or something. It could be cheaper. On joking aside, you have to try and talk to them on their level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because I talk to my kids on their level, they respect me a lot more.
Because you're taking time to go down to their level to talk to them in a way where they understand.
Parents don't.
No, because it's like that.
Most of the parents
because they're the second you're talking down at someone and being disrespectful, they're going to react in a certain way.
They're not going to listen to
it. Of course not. They just switch off because they think, who are you talking to? Especially now when they're looking online and I don't know, have their own minds of.
I think how us as parents can learn, and this is up to you. You young people that are watching this now, I'm going to show you, not all of us parents are ignorant to what you lot are doing. I understand and I get it. Mm. We have to, this is going to sound really funny, but I watch my kids. Mm. I watch, what game you playing?
You watch
so I'm learning what they're doing. I'm trying to learn their new language. What does that word mean? Yeah. So I'm trying to get inside their heads now because I'm not that age anymore. This is a different era. So they're teaching me a few things.
Yeah, so you're adapting.
So I'm adapting. So now when I talk to them, I can talk to them on a level. And I understand. I get it.
No. Like, literally, I go gym. Yeah, when I'm in the gym, sometimes I listen to some nonsense, mate. Fire in a booth, some of these channels, yeah. Listen to it. It's not really my cup of tea, yeah. But I'll listen to it. I educate myself. And I'll be having conversations with young people. There I am chatting about certain people. I'll be like, nah, that's all right, that is, isn't it? Because I might have listened to it. It might be all right. Yeah, it's not my choice, but I'm constantly watching things and learning.
And I think what I've learned and what I've seen, no disrespect to any parents out there. I'm sure there's a few of you that are doing what I'm doing. And
of course.
There's a lot of parents out there nowadays that they do this. They shut their eyes. They let their kids do what they're doing. They don't care. So when your child thinks, oh, well, mum don't care, dad don't care.
Why should I care?
Yeah. Why should I care? You don't care about me. They still know that you're their parents. But if you disconnect yourself and you don't show any interest in what they're doing and have anything to say to them, then they're just going to go on and do what they're doing.
And then what happens is you then try to play parent and they're too far gone.
There you go. And then here we go. Let's forget the parents now. Let's go to the schools. My child goes to school. I'm not going to name the school. And he went to defend a friend of his who was getting bullied. So he went to these other guys and said, listen, he's my mate. leave him alone. That's all he said. Because they all in little groups. I never knew about this. They have little friend groups, and that's how they roll
Yeah.
out here in Sussex, I suppose.
Yeah.
And this other group, he said it. He went to an older group and said, these guys are bullying me, and they're doing this. They go, well, we'll sort it out. Not knowing that this group's got a gang. So then next thing I know, I'm downstairs and I'm hearing this noise going on upstairs in my son's room. I go into the room and I just looked at him and I went, shh, carry on. And I'm looking at these texts, and these guys are saying, I'm going to come and stab you up. I'm going to do this. And they weren't all boys. They were girls as well. We're going to stab you up. All these.
What, how old? What, like?
You're talking about, what, 14? 14-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 13. Talking like they come from London or they've been through life. You haven't even started life. You live in Haywards Heath. You live in a village. You know, you wouldn't last 10 seconds past Croydon. In fact, you wouldn't even get past Gatwick. Trust me, I know 12-year-olds that can make you look silly. But it's like you sit there and you look at the situation and you just say to yourself, wow, like, so as they're doing all of this, I'm screenshotting on my phone every conversation. And then I get a picture. And this picture is of a young man standing in the middle and two girls holding kitchen knives in a pose. So to me, I know what that means. This is your crew and you're going to do something.
It's on.
They're going to do something.
Yeah.
So me in the industry that I'm in, and I'm not ignorant, I'm not silly. I could have dealt with it myself straight away, but I'm not. I'm a sensible guy. I like to give people opportunities to deal with things the proper way and go through the right channels.
Yeah.
Because if you go through the wrong channel, first thing they're gonna say is, "Oh yeah, he came around my house."
Yeah, adults came round kicking off and
this and that, and then next thing you know, no one's gonna want to have a conversation with me. They're just gonna go, "Sorry, mate, you're nicked."
Yeah, because you've acted.
You know, and look how young he is.
Yeah.
Oh, they would. So anyway, I took pictures. I took all this type of stuff, and I went to the school.
How did that go?
Like I said, I'm not going to mention the school, but you know the school. Anyway, I went in there, and I played the recording, and I showed this picture, and the teacher was mortified. This is the second head was mortified, and he was like, "Wow, have you been to the police?" I said, "Yeah, I have." Now, for him to say that, that's how bad it was. So I said, "So what are you going to do about it?" He said, "Well, you know, we've got this thing that we've got to do. We've got to talk to them. And, you know, we've got to sit." And I said, "Look, we're going to get the parents in here so we can have a conversation." Well, you know, in other words, they were just defending.
Defending what?
So they didn't care. It's all, to me, I think these schools are run by boxes. They're not run by, the school's not run by the teachers or the heads. It's run by someone else. And they're giving little boxes, and if he calls you this, you've got to go to this person. But if your child does something, you can't actually complain to the head direct. You've got to go to their tutor.
And then the tutor is only going to escalate it to whoever,
and it goes up the line.
Yeah, but
it's like we're in a shop.
But if it's a safeguarding issue,
I never knew this thing existed.
But if guys are showing pictures of knives and your kids at risk,
he said to me, "Oh, you know what? Let me tell you what he said to me. He said to me, "Oh, you know what? We looked at it, and it's TikTok, innit?" I went, "Sorry?" I said, "It's TikTok."
What's that?
It's what they do. It's a thing, isn't it? I said, "Oh, so it's like doing the moves." So
what with knives?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, so when you see them doing the moves, they got the knives. So today's a knife week, yeah? I said, I don't think that's TikTok.
No.
To me, that's a threat. You're telling someone this is what you do, and you're telling everyone else, if you mess with us, this is what's going to happen to you.
TikTok. Three of you with knives.
But because we're in Sussex, it will never happen here. Gangs don't exist. Violence like in London and anywhere else, Birmingham, places like that don't exist. Well, I'm afraid it does exist. These kids have their own minds. Their parents don't care. When these threats were made, they were at someone's house upstairs.
And what the parent was in.
And the parent, she went to the pub.
Sorry, man. That's not funny.
All right.
No,
I laughed.
No, because so the parents down the boozer,
And she's got a bunch of underage kids drinking
upstairs, with,
throwing threats to people.
So that's a safeguarding issue. So from my understanding, if that's reported to the police and you've shown like information on that, they should have a knock on the door from social services.
It gets better. This gets better. So I told the police took a week to come round to us. And to stand there, we showed them and they went, yeah. So what we do then, we've got a special team. Because they're young, we've got to send this team round to the parents.
Have a chat.
And then have a chat with them.
Yeah.
And then, if they do it again, and I went, all right, okay. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So left it. The young man got kicked out of school for 3 days. The 2 young ladies got kicked out of school for the day. When they came back, the only reason they got kicked out of school for the day is because they refused to let the teachers search the bag. So if you refuse the teacher to look into your bag, if they think you might have something in there that you shouldn't have, your parents get called and you get sent home. These are really silly rules that's not helping the system. Because these kids come to school and they know it's free for all. We can do what we want.
And just something as simple. And then, the follow on for that, okay, you can get sent home. So then what happens then?
He's online telling his minions at school, yo, yeah, he's there today. Tell him he's a snitch and I'm going to come for him. You lot deal with him. So he's got other people. He's got gangs of people. So it went quiet for it didn't even go quiet. He got someone else involved that not even from the school. A girl. She started throwing threats down the phone. Luckily, I know someone. I made one phone call and I said, yeah, my sister knows her. That got squashed. And the person apologized. Because it's got nothing to do with you. So
why
you
are you getting
stay
involved?
in your lane.
Yeah.
You're not getting involved.
Yeah, I hear that.
Right? But what annoys me is kids are screaming out. So if your child is doing this sort of behavior, yeah, and these aren't kids from a bad background. I know kids from a bad background that don't have PlayStations, that don't have, bikes, that just go.
They don't have electric bikes.
Don't have electric bikes. You know what I'm saying? They don't go on holiday. Where are you going on? I ain't going Disneyland. Oh, now I'm going to Dubai. They ain't even going Blackpool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like these kids are well-to-do kids, but why are they doing it? If they've got all that around them, because their parents don't care, they could do what they want. So basically, it whirled downhill until it was forgotten. So it gets thrown on, it gets put under the carpet, and we'll just all forget about that the incident happened. Funny enough, 2 of the students aren't there anymore.
Is that because they were?
That was because.
Or they just
about
carried
a couple
on.
of months later or a year later, one of them decided to beat some girl up in the park.
Okay.
But just beat her up, so she got kicked out. I think she got kicked out for the wrong reasons.
What, so got kicked out for beating somebody up in the park, but
you don't get kicked out
for threatening someone with a knife online.
And then you're going to stab them, and then you're going to send someone down the road. This thing was technical. We even had a person ring my son and tell him, come meet him. You got something for him.
What?
And this guy had been kicked out of this school yonks ago. He's actually got a problem. And we found out that this kid is known for what he does. He doesn't care.
He's just a bit ruthless.
All these things that are going on, and all this information I'm giving to the school. This is what's going on. They did nothing. They talked a load of waffle, and they did nothing. Now I think, listening to how these kids are listening to my children, I say, how is it today? And they will tell me things now, openly, of what happened. My son goes, Dad, I'm not a snitch. I said, cool. I get it. No, but
No. Yeah.
But we're older.
Yeah.
That word snitch, how it's gone into schools, I don't know, because that's used for different. That's a different genre.
Yeah.
But it's like everything is in a box. A lot of these teachers that they have, they're kids themselves. So they're going to uni, they're passing their degree, and then they're going to shove them in a massive school.
With no life experience.
With no life experience.
Working with young people.
And they say things to young people that, how can you say something if you don't actually understand or have been around or have that experience of being there? I'm not, I can't mention names.
But you'll get found out. Like,
Yeah,
straight.
but when they find out, they don't do anything about it, mate.
No, I mean the teachers get found out in the sense that like they
Oh,
try to say certain things, and then like these young people are looking at them like, "What are you going on about? Like, you don't even know what you're talking about."
Oh,
You know,
listen.
like,
It came to the point where it got so bad, and a few times I've had to go to the school. I've had to. I actually turned around to the second head and said, "I think this is the problem. I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but that person probably has no different color friends around them. They just have white friends.
Mm.
They don't go to London. They don't mix with other people
Mm.
or people that are not as well off as them.
Mm.
So they don't have any life experiences. So they'll say things that make no sense, and they will talk to a child. They'll talk down to a child,
Mm.
not with that child.
Mm.
Their way of giving a child time out, which I found out, is my son was in class at the same time as this stuff was going on. The other guy must have told a million, this is who he is. He's come out of a class, and him and his friends were playing. His friends started doing this punch game. But back in the day, we used to play it. You punch and then you have to run, and the next person punch. But they didn't tell my son that they were doing it. So as he's the last one to come out of the class, they all jumped him and started punching him. So he's punching back. This random kid he doesn't even talk to starts punching him and punches my son in the face. So my son goes, "What are you doing?" Punch him back in his face. Not knowing there's a camera watching the whole thing. So anyway, luckily a teacher come out. She's pulled them apart. She knows what my son's like. And she's gone, "Look, time out." They phoned us and told us, had some teacher ring me up, "Oh, well, your son was very highly violent and did. And I'm thinking, whoa. I said, "What's your name?" I said, "Okay, let's stop here, Henry." That wasn't his name. I'm just saying Henry. And saying, number one, you don't know my son. Number two, you don't know me. And number three, you probably don't know what's been going on for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks in your school.
Yeah.
So before you start saying things like that, get your facts right.
At least know, like, look at a bit of the background of what's
Look at the
been going on.
background of what's going on. Look into it before you open your mouth and start saying this and that. I reported him. The second head brought them in, and they made them look at the video again, and they noticed that my son was attacked. But they still wanted to put my son in detention in a thing called
Isolation.
I never heard of such a thing. I know, but I've never isolation. That's something they do like when they go to war, right? They put them in a room and waterboard them and all that type of stuff. I never heard of isolation. How was that word isolation safeguarding my child?
I think where it is, they put them in like a room and there's like a computer screen and they're just like locked off in little sections.
That's what I found out. So he says, "You're going to put my son in isolation." I said, "Let me tell you something. The only isolation my son's going to have is at my house. I'm safeguarding my son because he's not safe at your school." No problem. It won't happen. He won't go into isolation. We'll deal with this other child. No problem. I'm in the gym doing my thing. I get a phone call. My son, they've put him in isolation. Yeah. And they've taken his phone off him. But they're that clever in that school, not knowing my son knows how to work a computer. And he emailed me and he emailed his mum. I'm in isolation. Well, I've kicked off. I've rung up. I said, "Listen, I want my daughter and I want my son. You've got 20 minutes to get them at reception, ready for me to come and pick them up." "Oh, but I said, "I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything." Headmaster got on the phone. "Oh, yeah, no, we've taken them out. The teacher that did it, lo and behold, it was one of the same teachers that's got a bit of an issue. No life experience." And I knew who it was, but I wanted the headmaster to tell me.
To tell you.
"Oh, no, we can't." I said, "So you're protecting him?" So what's up? What we're doing here now? You're protecting older people because I don't think he needs safeguarding.
He's an adult.
He's an adult, and I'm an adult. So there's no safeguarding going on here. You can sit in a conversation because I want to have a word with him. I want to know what was he thinking. Because now you've given my son anxiety and you're putting stuff in his head which is going to give him mental health problems. And any other child, you're going to do that to. So this is what this whole thing boils down to one thing, and this is what I think what the government needs to look at. These schools are great. You send your kids there to learn. But that's all you're sending your kids there to do. They're learning, but you're not learning about the kids. These kids are doing what they want to do. There's no respect.
Mm.
You know, I'm not saying detention, cane, none of that. You don't need to do that. It's how you talk to a child. The teachers need to be educated.
How to kind of
How
like
to deal.
talk to those young people on a
Of course,
level,
on a level.
show them some respect, and then that
This
way it's going to make.
isolation, they need to get rid of that, because at the end of the day, isolation is used. If you're going to go to war and the police, they use stuff like that because they're criminals.
Some schools might call it reflection.
Well, I don't think it's a reflect, because I got put in a
No, because it's not like reflection where it might be a space where it's not as brutal, but a space where you can do your work away
But
from
then you know
everybody
what?
at school.
There's a classroom, everyone's in a playground, stick them in a classroom. You don't stick them in a room,
Mm.
in a box.
Yeah,
That shouldn't be happening.
yeah.
That's what I think.
That's
anyway.
because I mean that's
You know,
no
I'm
good
in the security industry.
that's no good for
something
you.
that you do after someone's done someone over in a club.
Yeah, that's no good for your
It's
mental
not
health
for the
and stuff.
and you're meant to be safeguarded. So how are these kids safeguarded?
Mm.
You know, so I just think there's a lot of box ticking going on, and these teachers need to be if you're gonna become a teacher, you need to teach them what it's gonna be like. You're going into a school with different backgrounds,
Yeah,
different levels,
different cultures, people from different
cultures.
places. Like
Some kids haven't got what other kids have got.
yeah,
you know?
let's try and kind of like be non-judgmental
Understand.
and understand that people have different struggles and different battles, and how can I put myself in their shoes and just
And as a teacher, you're going to see these kids almost every day, right?
so you can paint a picture
But
of what
each
they're like.
child
Yeah,
is going
yeah.
to be different.
Yeah, and you're going to learn,
Of course,
and
teach
understand.
yourself to learn about that
Mm.
child. Well, we know he doesn't like this, and he gets a bit
Mm.
uppity. So we know what this is what we need to do. But that doesn't go on in these schools. No one's
But it
talking to you.
might be done sometimes, because a lot of them are overwhelmed with a lot of big caseloads, not
They
caseloads.
do
Sorry,
that, but then you know what they need to do? They need to get more teachers.
more lessons. Yeah,
Because
because a lot of them are probably burning out
listen,
and then leaving the
I'm getting
profession.
excuses from the teacher. Well, you know what? We're short at the moment. Okay, so you need to unshorten it and hire more people, fast track people,
or
in.
get some people who are keen, who can learn on a job, or it
Exactly.
makes sense. You're better off having someone on a level who's able to help
Of course.
and engage with those young people than
Engage.
somebody who is overqualified and feels that they're too
Listen,
overqualified to be there.
in London, a lot of things have changed when it goes to schools, because there's a lot of violence going on in these schools in London. A lot of stuff going on. I mean, I've got a few friends that have lost a few pupils and people that they know through over really silly things. But these teachers are engaging. They're teaching them. When you go into a school in London, you're ready for anything. You know, and that's how everyone should be taught. On. Doesn't matter if you live in the countryside and there's leaf and there's a cow on that side. All schools are the same. All kids are the same. They're going to act the same. Just because I live down in the countryside.
Yeah, but now everything's smaller because they can see stuff online and what's going on there and what's going on there. So it isn't like that's a London thing or this is becoming Sussex. It's a youth culture.
COVID stopped us all from going to teachers' meetings. So now they do it online.
Nah, I'm not having that.
It's terrible. Oh, my
Our
wife,
30, if you meant to like
my
even
wife
get
turns around because we got teachers' meeting. Oh, we're going to school. Nah.
it's on Teams.
It's on the thing. It's on my. Oh, yeah. We've got about 4 of them to see, but we're going to see them on the phone, and they're going to talk to us while they're in their kitchen. But I want to be face to face.
I want to have a conversation. I want to have a conversation.
Maybe that teacher can learn something by meeting us.
Yeah,
what sort of parents we are, and maybe even okay.
And you can give them a couple of tips. This is like what works at home. This is you can.
But all that's gone out the window.
No.
Yeah. So all of that we lost. When I was young, I'm sure you did the same. There was loads of play centers, play groups.
Yeah.
People were like encouraged to go to a thing. Go, listen, we're going Blackpool. Just get £2.
No. And then we say,
My mum and dad would go, yeah, take the £2. Here's £5. Don't bring them back for 5 hours. They loved it, and I had a great time. I went to places that no one else has been to. But this is what's lost.
Yeah,
these kids have got nothing else to do. In the industry that I'm in, I've been blessed to work around a lot of film sets and big film sets. And I just finished doing Top Boy. And I was on there for 5.5 years. My client is one of the leads in it. But these kids that I met, these are the young kids. These are the characters that kids are looking at. These kids that I met, they were the real deal. None of them had a silver spoon in their mouth. None of them acted before.
Mm.
But when that camera came on and they were told to, they did it. And my God, what a job they did.
Yeah,
You know, and
authentic.
we need to stop. I think in general, we need to stop saying you can't and saying you can. You know, when even if he's not my child, I say, no, anything you want to do,
Just give it a go, man.
you can do.
Yeah,
Listen, I'll put my hands up. I'm dyslexic. A lot of things happened to me at school, family-wise, that I was away from school for months, and I went back and I couldn't do my exams, you know, but I've been successful in my life. You know, we got prime ministers who are dyslexic, and they've run our country.
Yeah, of course,
you know, there's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of there's a lot. Do you know what? There's you can look online and it shows like all the dyslexic, famous people.
But these teachers don't say this to the.
If
we had some kids sitting here right now, I would love to know how many teachers every day will say to you, "Yes, you can. You're capable of doing that. Anyone can do this." And you know what? If you don't want, even if you don't get the grade that you want to get, you could still do it. You can still do it again. You know, the world has changed. The world is evolving and changing every day. And I just think we need to stop being positive instead of being negative. Because there's too much negative things going on.
Definitely. On that's a positive, because we need to. This is like a topic. We have to get you back in, and we have to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We have a debate. We get a couple people here. Because I've had a few people where we can talk about and share different ideas and different things what we think are moving forward.
I think it's important.
And what can help.
I think it's so important. And, you know, kids.
Get some heads around the table who have experience.
The other week,
I
was just hanging around the studio, and I met that young man that you were talking about. He was really good at football, and he went through a lot.
Oh, Louis Potter Jones.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm just being very honest with you. I've sat
LPJ.
I've sat there, yeah, man. I shook his hand. I looked at him and thought, wow, and then he just told me his story, and I was like,
you'd be surprised.
Wow, he inspires me. And I'm old. I ain't gonna tell you my age, but I'm old. But still, I get inspired by people. And wow.
Nice.
So, you know, if we can just have more people like that. And I think this is what needs to happen. I think these kids need to have a voice.
No, and that's what we're going to try.
And it's the real people. It's not someone you think is called Alice, and it's not really Alice. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's not like Instagram. This is real. This is the real.
This is proper. This is proper. You know? This is like it's like 9:39 at night, and we're out here, you know, kind of doing this because it's important and it's something we're passionate about. Yeah.
Even if you'd called me, told me it's 12 o'clock at night, can you come and do it? I want to do it because at the end of the day, it's important.
Nice.
You know, I care.
Nice. Well, look, thank you. And we will definitely come on again.
100%, man. Thank you for having me.
For that. No, pleasure.
And next time we'll get jokes.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for that. You know, it's getting late here, but you know, we're going to keep the content coming, and we're going to just try to keeping things interesting. Any comments are welcomed, or any recommendations. But look, subscribe, keep watching. It just helps us grow. Yeah. But thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. Have a good day.
Subscribe.